Moses is an older leader, raised in Egypt, and called by God to demand Israel's release. He carries the weight of a nation on his shoulders, and the staff that proved God's power. The Israelites are ordinary families bound to harsh labor. They are fearful and hopeful. God's instruction will ask them to act with faith swiftly, night to night, as destiny turns. That evening Moses repeats God's command. Every family must take a lamb without defect and keep it until the 14th day of the month. They are to do this as an act of obedience because God will pass through the land of Egypt. As the crowd leans in, Moses explains the sign. They must slaughter the lamb at twilight. They are to smear its blood on their doorposts. The blood marks houses that God will see and pass over, sparing those inside. Moses tells them how to eat. Roast the lamb, eat with unleavened bread and bitter herbs, packed and ready to leave. They must eat in haste with belts fastened and staff in hand. This meal binds memory to action. Moses clarifies, if a household is too small, they share with a neighbor. Any resident stranger may also join after circumcising their male. The whole gathering must be under the same roof to be protected. Moses warns that God will strike the firstborn throughout Egypt, both human and livestock, because Pharaoh hardened his heart. The command is grim. Protection depends on the people's obedience to God's sign. In towns and compounds, the Israelites prepare as one people. Neighbors cooperate. The air fills with urgency and strange rituals. The lamb becomes a shared symbol that will separate those under God's protection from the darkness to come. Meanwhile, Moses remembers Pharaoh's repeated refusal. The narrative explains that Pharaoh's heart has been hardened, a theological reason given for the judgment. This sets the stage. God's action is both rescue and judgment upon Egypt. When night comes, the Lord goes through the land of Egypt. Suddenly there is a sound of wailing. Households without the sign are struck. In contrast, Israelite homes with blood on the doorposts are passed over and remain untouched. When morning comes, Egypt is filled with silence and sorrow. Families grieve. The weight of loss forces even Pharaoh's house to reckon. This catastrophe is the final blow that will force a decision about Israel's freedom. At dawn, Pharaoh calls for Moses and Aaron. He has changed. The loss has broken his resistance. Pharaoh orders Israel to leave, to take their flocks and herds. This unexpected reversal fulfills God's promise of deliverance. As Moses instructed, the people depart in haste. They carry unleavened dough, shepherds lead flocks, and households leave behind the long years of oppression. The urgency reminds them this migration is an act of faith and obedience. As they leave, Moses emphasizes that the blood on doorposts is not a private superstition, but a sign of covenant protection. God instructs that this night be remembered and observed for generations as the Lord's decisive act of salvation. Then Moses proclaims a lasting ordinance. For 7 days they must eat unleavened bread and remove all yeast from their homes. This becomes a ritual memory, a yearly reminder of how God brought them out with haste. Moses also explains that God claims the firstborn as his, and that livestock firstborn become holy. For the people, this deepens the meaning. Deliverance involves devotion and recognition that life itself belongs to God. As a result of that night, Egypt drives the Israelites out. They take their possessions and livestock. The former slaves leave as a people, not as scattered fugitives, fulfilling God's plan to form them into a nation under his care. Finally, Moses records God's command that this night become a perpetual memorial. Parents must teach their children its meaning. The ritual keeps the community's memory alive and defines their identity as a people delivered by God. In that same instant, a mother kneels to bless her child before the journey. Her faith is small but resolute. For families like hers, the sign and the meal become the seed of trust that will carry them into an uncertain future. As they go, Moses reflects that the harshness of the sign serves a purpose. It reveals God as holiness and justice, and demonstrates that deliverance often comes at cost to an opposing power. The narrative teaches that God rescues by decisive intervention. In that dawn, Moses frames the night as more than escape. It inaugurates a covenant relationship. God as saving act binds him to the people. This moment is the theological seed from which Israel's identity and worship will grow. Years later, the community continues the practice. Each year, parents retell the night. The ritual resists forgetting. The law and feast ensure that freedom does not become merely a historical event, but a living memory shaping future obedience. As the caravan moves toward the Sinai wastes, the first Passover hangs in their hearts. It is both a wound and a promise, a memory that will steer them through wandering toward a future built on obedience and encounter with God. If this story moved you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you do not miss the next one.